About a month before he left, he wanted to have an updated family picture. So he got us together and took us out to a photographer, and fortunately we have that. This is the one that hangs on in my mom's place next door.
Rob Alexander was only 15 years old when his father, Arsenault, died in the 1985 Air India bombing that killed all 329 people on board.
It's a surreal thing. You hear of these stories where, someone dies suddenly and you never think it's going to happen to you.
Tell me about this one.
Just kind of a classic picture of the two of us. I can't remember what the joke was, but he got me laughing. Over the last 40 years, there has been so many ups and downs, mostly downs. It was really shocking that happened to my family.
So this is one of many boxes that you've received. Pictures.
A small room and a few boxes, home to the lasting memories for those who lost loved ones in the 1985 Air India bombing.
There are personal letters, official letters.
40 years later, they finally will have a permanent home, a historical record at McMaster University in Hamilton, Ontario.
And that's the co-pilots, and that's the badges. This is something that was worn on their person, and those people are lost.
Chandrama Chakraborty is a professor at McMaster, leading the project and a group of researchers trying to keep the memory of the Air India tragedy alive.
So the boxes have a history of memories, history of erased stories, histories of erased grief, but ongoing grief as well.
She took it upon herself to put together a Canadian archive of one of the country's biggest and yet largely forgotten tragedies.
The archive might offer some kind of a memory justice for these families, right? By bringing into public memory this suppressed history.
These archives that are now at McMaster University, what does that mean to you to be able to actually have something like that now available?
I think will help all the families that if there's just one repository of information, it will help keep that narrative together. It doesn't exist anywhere else in the country.
On June 23, 1985, 329 people, mostly Canadians, died on board Air India Flight 182 after it was bombed off the coast of Ireland.
There has been a terrible air crash off the coast of Ireland.
There were multiple investigations and a public inquiry.
I did not have a chance to search that airplane, and I believe that if I had a chance to search it, things might have turned out differently.
Major Canadian intelligence and security failures were exposed, making the tragedy that much worse for loved ones.
You can imagine what kind of condition her body was in, as many were the others. The plane was at 31,000 feet. It blew up. It crashed in the Atlantic. Condition of a body that I would never imagine, and unfortunately that's the image I have stuck in my head of my mom, is that picture of her and of her body.
Sushil Gupta was just 12 years old when he lost his mother, Ramwati Gupta.
She loved to cook. I remember her singing while she would cook. The way she dressed, the way she did her hair, her hand creams, certain smells that I do remember to this day. I think Canadians need to be aware that terrorism is not something that happens somewhere else and over there. It does happen here, but more importantly, it has happened here.
It is the worst ever air crash at sea.
But this is not a tragedy that resonates in this country. According to polling, the majority of Canadians know very little about the disaster.
There has to be multifaceted approaches at all levels, right? At the level of the government, at the level of the community. It should not be just the job of families to keep saying their stories again and again and again. Many of them are fatigued.
Canadians, they need to know that these were people that were in their community. There were so many kids on that flight, so many people who are working in their everyday jobs, like my father, with the public.
Given the government's mishandling of many aspects of the bombing, the families desperate for the care and attention it deserves have trusted Chakraborty with their personal possessions.
What did that trust mean to you?
It's a gift, but it's a difficult gift. It comes with a lot of obligation because it is a gathering of memories and histories that families have preserved this long. And then they're willing to trust me with those boxes of materials, right?
The process of putting these documents into a digital archive is slow and expensive. Funding will run out next year.
It's an obligation to make sure that those records are preserved for perpetuity beyond my and other lifetimes. So as long as McMaster as an institution holds, I hope it will be there.
So when the body was recovered, he had some personal effects that were returned to us. He had his wallet.
For the families, these tangible reminders of the lives lost are vital to preserving their loved ones' memories.
Even his social insurance card was intact. We've learned to talk about him at certain times, and we keep his memory alive that way. I go to the cemetery often, just knowing he's there sometimes.
Be close to him. I can tell your dad was very important to you. You were very close to your dad. If you could, what would you say to him right now?
Obviously, we love him, we miss him, and we wish he was here. I hope he's proud of us.